Hello, everyone. It's 420, April 20th, 2018, and we're going to cover our top 5 movies of the year so far. Glenn, why don't you start with your number 5?
My 5 is kind of a hard pick, but I decided to go with Insidious 4, which I forget the subtitle on that. Something about a key.
The Last Key.
Last Key.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with just Insidious movies in general. I like. Some are better than others, but I always like it. You know, the main character is Elise, and she's an interesting character, and her guys, her dudes that are with her in the little white shirts and the ties. It was interesting. It was a prequel, kind of, because she died in the first movie.
Oh, right.
Spoiler alert.
Right.
So every other movie after that, she's either been a ghost or it's been a kind of a prequel. But I liked that movie a lot. It was not spectacular. It wasn't anywhere near as good as the first one, but it was.
The first one was exceptional, and I kind of enjoyed the second one, and third and fourth still fun, I thought. But the critics are tearing it apart. Any idea why they might be tearing it apart?
No.
Well, they like
a horror movie,
Yeah, horror and no, they seem to like a lot of weird movies. So my number 5 is different, although I'm sure some of the others will be similar. So number 5 for me, I put as Red Sparrow, starring Jennifer Lawrence, the Russian spy movie. It was a pretty dark movie.
Yeah.
They do a lot of really dark things. I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen it. That's why I put it on my top 5, as I recommend you check it out if you haven't. It's a little slow too, but slow in a way that lets you kind of take in each scene. And I appreciate movies that take their time to tell a story when they focus on story and characters. And I thought this one did it, and it was just the right amount of dark and sort of interesting intrigue for me. The performances were great, so I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was an okay movie for me. It might have just made it on the list if there was 6, maybe. Might have made it in there.
If we had a top 6?
I don't know, it kind of found it a little bit slow and boring, but interesting seeing that, what was it, 80s, right?
Yeah, I think it was the 80s.
That 80s kind of like we're still in the Cold War, and almost a little like La Femme Nikita, where it's a woman who's being recruited to be a spy, and she's kind of brutalized. And interesting movie. Definitely check it out for yourself.
Yeah. So that. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is a little Steven Spielberg movie called Ready Player One.
Yep, I'll just throw this out there too real quickly, that's my number 4 also, for up until today, April 20th.
Yeah, Ready Player One was fun. It was very busy for like old guys like us. Maybe it was a little too busy, but I had a lot of fun with it. No, I liked it. All the what's the word I'm looking for? All the nostalgia stuff and all the
callbacks
to other video games and movies and TV shows. I think some of it I didn't get, but I think
it goes by so fast.
There's a lot there's a lot of stuff
multiple viewings
happening
to catch everything, I think.
Well, there's even a few things that I'm not 100% familiar with. Some anime things. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I kind of recognize that. The Akira motorcycle that she's riding.
Right.
He's got the DeLorean from Back to the Future. It's fun. There's not a whole lot, as far as character development. There's a little bit.
Could have used more character development for sure.
But just fun overall movie. And a big battle at the end, of course.
Yeah.
That's the way we do it in Hollywood.
I did like the puzzles that it introduced, although I thought that the first puzzle was pretty simple. This is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, you can stop.
I guess we're doing spoilers.
Um,
Mild spoilers.
should we? I don't know. Maybe we won't. I'll tell you
don't
what.
spoil it. We don't have
Let's
that much
not-
time anyway.
Well, let's not
move
spoil.
on.
Let's move on. But I did enjoy it. It is my number 4. If there were a little more character development and a little more focus on the puzzles and the characters and their my biggest problem with the film, actually, now that I remember, was the antagonist. Just sort of your typical bad guy.
Not great.
Motivation's completely unjustified. And a strong antagonist would have been great. To bring what the good side of the story had, it's basically one side against the other, and the protagonist side of the story was fun,
Right.
and the antagonist was nothing. It was vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things too, like of course they're in a virtual reality world, so there's the guy, the main character, and then there's the hot kind of super active girl that he kind of falls in love with, very agile and powerful, and she says, "Oh, you wouldn't like me in the real world," or something like that, and then he sees her in the real world, she's hot,
Yeah.
except for little facial things, stuff like that.
Oh
We're
yeah,
like,
she
really?
had a birthmark or
Wouldn't
something
like
on
you
her
in the
face?
real world?
Yeah.
But it's still very fun. The Shining scenes.
Oh, the Shining scene.
In particular.
Not to spoil anything, but the Shining scene is amazing, fun.
Just go
But
see it.
Overall, it's fun, and I could probably see it again in the future after a little while, but probably not something I'd come back to often.
If it's on, maybe. I don't know. What's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Game Night, which is really interesting because it's a movie that, for me at least, came out of nowhere. I didn't see any publicity for it or trailers for it.
A little, yeah.
I think the same week that it came out, earlier that week, was the first time I'd heard of it. Maybe you saw it sooner.
I'd seen trailers for it.
But I became a really big fan of Jason Bateman after that TV show he did. What was that called? Ozarks.
Oh, Ozark, yeah.
Yeah, Ozark.
Yeah.
Um,
I always liked him.
I always kind of liked him, but that show really kind of
Liked
solidified.
him in The Kingdom.
I don't remember
The
that.
Kingdom, where they're in. I won't get into it, but he was a good character in that.
But Game Night, I thought, so, it's just the basic premise is a bunch of friends come over once in a while for a game night, and the main character, him and his wife, the main guy, Jason Bateman's brother comes over, and he's supposed to be this wealthy entrepreneur, and of course everything goes crazy, and the game night becomes real, and I mean, there's a lot going on, so...
Keep your eye on the glass tables in that movie. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So what was your number 3?
My number 3 was Game Night.
Okay, good.
Obviously, we see a lot of the same movies
Yeah.
and skip a lot of the same movies. But
This was a comedy, though, right?
yeah, very much so. And it's the whole mistaken identity thing where we thought this was happening,
Right.
but this is happening, and there's a lot of good stuff. A lot of fun stuff in it. Without getting too far into it.
It's clever, and the way they play the game, and they think that they're still playing the game, but then maybe is it real, or maybe is it still a game? And it's clever the way it's done, and the jokes are funny, and I thought everybody in it did a great job. Number 2 for their up to this
what's
point.
number 2?
I think we have the same number 2, right?
And number 1.
And number 1.
Number 2 is A Quiet Place.
Right.
Just almost neck and neck, but I'd say number 1.
Oh, really?
My number 1.
Neck and neck with your number 1?
Close. But A Quiet Place is kind of a horror sci-fi film about a family who has to keep quiet because there's an enemy, something that's hunting them or can hear them, even no matter where they are. They're in the house, they're hiding underground. The thing almost can hear them anywhere, or the things could potentially hear them, so they have to stay quiet. They use sign language. One of the daughters is deaf, So that's kind of where the sign language came from. It's really well constructed and well thought out, and it's tense. It's really tense.
The filmmaking craft is excellent here.
From the start all the way to the end, it is tense and just amazing. I would definitely recommend that movie highly.
Yeah, it's surprising to get such a sort of a small movie done so well.
It's very small. It's very low budget, and doesn't need to be a high budget movie. Yeah, they spent a little bit of money on effects and stuff, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, kudos to John Krasinski because he started it and he directed it.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I would love to see
the
more
guy
from
from
him.
The Office.
Yeah,
the comedian, sort of.
Yeah, the comic personality.
Well, he's getting more into filmmaking now than for a little while.
Well, after this movie, I want to see more.
Yeah, definitely. Sequel?
I'd go watch it for sure. I think there's room for it. Unfortunately, his character, goes through some stuff in that movie that may change a sequel from what the original was. But we'll see if they do. Otherwise, I'd love to see him do more in the sci-fi genre / thriller horror genre because, like you said, tense. The filmmaking style was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So that was close to your number one, so I'll mention what we both put as our number one, and that's, of course, one of the most underrated movies of the year, and I think it probably did the...
Black Panther?
Now, that movie made a lot of money. I'm the movie that didn't make as much money. That's the best movie so far, and I would be very surprised if another movie can top it through the rest of the 2018. I'm going to make that prediction now that it remains.
Solo's coming.
My number. Yeah, Solo is coming. But Annihilation, of course.
Annihilation, yeah.
I absolutely loved that movie. Saw it twice in the theater within a few days. Had to go back and see it. Why did you like it so much?
It was something that I hadn't seen before, and that's really rare. I mean, even you could also say that, like A Quiet Place, kind of, you've seen movies like it. Annihilation's, would be hard pressed to think of a movie that was like that movie, that had the aspects of that movie and the way it was constructed and what it was about and everything, and some of the visuals. I'm still like
the production design, great,
blown away by. It's some sort of alien force lands in a meteorite and hits a lighthouse and starts to grow. There's this thing called the shimmer, I think, that starts to spread, and it gets bigger and bigger as time goes by, and anybody who goes into the shimmer doesn't come back.
Right.
But except for somebody in the movie who does come back.
One person comes back at the beginning, and then that sort of kicks off.
I think that's not a spoiler. Natalie Portman comes out. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, that movie, a few scenes, one in particular was just horrifying. I mean, it's a horror movie, but it's sci-fi. It's kind of a good balance of both. It's Lovecraftian. If you are familiar with the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and A Color Out of Space in particular reminds me of a little of that. But just a beautiful, horrifying movie,
Yeah, beautifully terrifying, horrifying. I love, too, it's a very slow-paced movie, and this is actually a compliment in its case, because it takes you from scene to scene, and there's a lot of things you have to think about. Like I like a movie that makes you think and ponder the world and the possibilities, and in this case, the cosmic possibilities, right, that came to Earth. And the five main characters in the story, are pondering the same. They're learning sort of, as we're learning when they go into the shimmer and the area that's affected by the meteorite. But Amazing film. I can't say enough. As a matter of fact, I got the movie poster already up on my wall, and I have it pre-ordered on Amazon, and I can't wait.
I don't see it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. There
Don't make me turn the camera around.
I see it.
And it's up at the top too, so I can always look up to it. But
yeah, that's one of those films you get like once or twice a year if you're lucky. Maybe this year we'll have 3 or 4 like really good movies, but so far so good. Let's keep 2018 going in that direction.
Most years, I think it would be hard to find a really strong top 5 list, but this year we've had a couple of, a few good movies. I have a couple of honorable mentions.
It's only April 20th, and we've already got 3 or 4 that are I really liked.
That are like A movies, and a couple other ones that are pretty
not
decent.
A's, but solid.
Solid, yeah. I have a couple of honorable mentions. For me, I also liked Insidious: The Last Key. I like that whole series, fun movie. Tomb Raider was fun. I can't really remember. I saw all the Angelina Jolie ones, but I don't really remember them. But this one was fun. But for me, probably something I would not return to.
And it's on my list of possibles.
It was fun.
I wouldn't say it was a great movie by any stretch.
One of the things I like is Alicia Vikander, who plays the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. She's obviously a beautiful woman, worked really hard to get into a really physical fit shape for that, but also has a charisma that draws you in like certain actors do. And I really liked her in Ex Machina, another one of my favorite movies. And I'd love to see her stay in this sort of fun fantasy, sci-fi, adventure.
Seems to be doing well.
Genre. If she can keep doing movies in that genre, I'd definitely be seeing them.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other honorable mentions?
None that we haven't really talked about. I would say the only thing that kind of would qualify was oh shit, I forgot.
Well, for me, was
Cloverfield Prototype. Forgot the name.
The Cloverfield Paradox.
Paradox. The Cloverfield Paradox. On Netflix, and it's one of those movies that I was aware of a long time ago and waiting for and hoping would be good.
Right, because the first 2 are so good.
The first one's good.
The second one's amazing.
One's a masterpiece.
10 Cloverfield Lane is one of my favorite
films. The next one,
films.
coming up, it was going to be about the space station and things go wrong. And it was just.
Well, it had a lot of problems.
Not that good.
A lot of weird decisions.
Didn't make a lot of sense.
But overall, it had some fun stuff, and I like that somebody's out there trying to make science fiction.
Definitely.
And there were a lot of good things in it. Just also a lot of goofy things that I wouldn't have gone in that direction. But I enjoyed it. It's actually a movie I could probably watch again. Unlike Tomb Raider, probably I don't know if I'd really seek that one out. But I'd probably watch Cloverfield Paradox again. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Well, that's it for 2018 movies up to April 20th, and if you haven't seen some of these, highly recommend that you check them out, and we'll bring you.
Definitely.
Hopefully, there'll be some more good movies coming out in the next few months, and we can bring you another recap.
There's a lot of stuff coming. We got.
Don't expect the superhero movies to be on those lists.
Oh yeah, we got whatchamacallit coming up? Avengers, Deadpool.
Okay, I take
2.
that back. Deadpool might make
definitely
the
be
list.
seeing that.
So we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.